I do want to take you out right now to some breaking news in Florida as officials there are working to eliminate childhood vaccine mandates. This coming down at a press conference with Florida Governor Ron DeSantis earlier on today. This a post from the Associated Press saying Florida will work to eliminate all child vaccine mandates in this state. So obviously some big news. A live picture right there in Tampa in the Sunshine State as Florida working to phase out all of the childhood vaccine mandates in the state, building on the effort by Republican Governor Ron DeSantis to curb vaccine requirements and other health mandates during the COVID-19 pandemic. DeSantis also announced on Wednesday the creation of a state-level Make America Healthy Again Commission modeled after similar initiatives pushed by the federal level by Robert F. Kennedy Jr. On the vaccine, State Surgeon General Dr. Joseph Ladapo casts current requirements in schools and elsewhere as, quote, immoral intrusion on people's rights. So let's take you out right now to these comments from Florida Governor Ron DeSantis and the State Surgeon General from earlier today.
He's been involved in these issues, but I think most people have really gotten interested in this in the advent of how the medical establishment acted during the COVID-19 pandemic. And you had a situation where so many of these entrenched elites were turning towards coercive measures, trying to dictate your behavior through various non-pharmaceutical interventions, mandates, pushing products on people that they didn't want. And I think what people, because it permeated the entire country when the COVID-19 onset happened, people started looking and they started saying, okay, you know, you're telling me this, you're saying this piece of cloth putting on my face is going to save my life. Where's the data to back that up? Oh, there haven't been any controlled studies that show that those cloth masks stop infection? Oh, well, then why are you telling me? Oh, just trust us, do it. And I think what we saw over the course of that is there were a lot of dictates issued, whether that was from Fauci himself or some of his minions, that were basically what they believed to be noble lies. And so they were telling you to put that piece of cloth over your face, even though there were no clinical trials that showed that would actually make a difference, because they thought that if you had a piece of cloth over your face, maybe you'd behave differently. So they were trying to induce you to behave the way they wanted you to behave, including putting out a lot of things that were just simply not true. And one of the things that I think was most devastating about some of these folks is, you know, some of these medical elites, including Fauci, they were all in on these lengthy school closures. You remember, I mean, I was here with our, one of Stassi's predecessors, Richard Corcoran, who's now the president of New College in Sarasota, which, by the way, was just ranked #1 public liberal arts college in America. You know, they say go woke, go broke. New College is kind of the opposite. We got rid of the woke, and now you have a massive enrollment, and test scores are going up, and you have classical education is back right down the road from here in Sarasota. In-state tuition like $6,300, and so I don't think you could do much better than that. But Richard Corcoran and I, in the beginning of COVID, I mean, maybe 6-8 weeks into COVID, we said, listen, you can't have a situation where kids don't have access to going to school. So we put the marker down and said all schools in Florida, the public schools, must be open for in-person instruction. And you to think that we were trying to end the world with the reaction on that. We were attacked by the American Academy of Pediatrics, by Fauci, by all these different people who basically wanted these kids to, I guess, just sit at home. First of all, virtual instruction is very limited. I mean, Florida does it probably better than others. It's not a substitute for actually being in the classroom. The teacher union in Florida sued us and they were trying to stop my executive order, and they were trying to force the schools to be closed. So that's what we were dealing with 5 years ago when you were doing that. And we knew that we were right because we had actually looked at the data. And the reality is these young kids, fortunately, were not amongst the population that were significantly affected by this. It was certainly more akin to seasonal flu for them. And so we said, okay, so what are you going to do? Just keep them out indefinitely? It ain't like this thing just goes away. And some said, well, we got to wait till there's a vaccine. And I'm just like, no, I am not going to do that. So we said go. But we also told parents, hey, if you want to do virtual, that's fine. That's your choice. But you're going to have the option to have your kid be in school in person. And, you know, what happened was, I'll never forget, we won the lawsuit. It's a typical thing. You know, you hear this stuff. They're now hitting, you have a very leftist judge trying to stop alligator Alcatraz. We appeal and all this stuff. But like a judge ruled against us on schools. They said, oh, you can't force to be open. And the union was crowing. And I was like, well, we're going to win on appeal. And we did win on appeal for that. And so we won the court cases. So then you're having kids go to school beginning of August 2020. And like, there would be all these like legacy media outlets from like New York, CNN, ABC News. And they'd go and they'd be like, oh my gosh, Florida is having kids, and critics say they're sending kids to their destruction. And I'm just thinking to myself, these people have no concept. They are putting narrative ahead of evidence-based medicine. They are ignoring the data in favor of ideology. When they were saying follow the science, what they really meant is follow their political science, because that's what they were doing. So we put people in, we made sure people had access to schools, and we had a week go by, 2 weeks go by, 3 weeks go by. The sky didn't fall. Kids were happy. In fact, we even had to fight the Athletic Association. They wanted to stop sports in 2020, and every one of their medical experts was saying, oh, you can't have kids do sports, COVID, this, that, and the other thing. And I'm just thinking to myself, these people have no evidence for what they're doing. So you want to deprive, you know, these high school kids of football season, volleyball, all the other sports, without having a factual basis to do it. And, you know, we just let it be known, like, the state of Florida is going to have sports available for our kids. If you as a parent don't want your kid playing football because you're worried about COVID, well, you know, that's your decision to make, and we respect that. But we are not going to have some of these folks make that decision for everybody else. And so lo and behold.
All right, you're just listening in there to this here on Live Now from Fox. Let's quickly shift gears. We're also monitoring right now Secretary of State Marco Rubio meeting with his counterpart in Mexico.